So my car crash was 11 years ago. It was on December 29th, 5 days after I turned 35. And I tell everybody that it happened just like it does in the movies, because then in my mind, that's how it replays. Like everything is in slow motion. And just like in the movies, my two daughters were with me. We have 4 children. Our 2 middle daughters were with me that night. And the 3 of us were laughing hysterically. Just before that moment when you realize what's going to happen. So I know you've also heard that phrase, my life flashed before my eyes. And I cannot tell you where that comes from, because that didn't happen for me, not one bit. Whenever I saw this 1-ton truck just careening towards us, I had 3 very distinct thoughts that went through my head. First was I had to accept that this was going to happen. My second thought was, okay, this is going to happen. Is there any possible way that I can avoid it? And my third thought was, I knew that this was going to be so bad that I probably wasn't going to survive. So at that point, I begged God just to save my girls' lives. Take me and leave them. So by the looks of our car, you wouldn't think that anybody survived, but all 3 of us survived. It was a 4-car pileup, and you would think by the looks of our car that we were the very first one in line, but we were actually number 2. So there was a truck that was pulling a flatbed trailer that was in front of us, and fortunately for us, that impaired driver skidded down the side of the truck and trailer, and that slowed him to somewhere in excess of 85 miles an hour before we hit. Now we did hit head on, but apparently I swerved to the right to try to avoid him. So we hit head on more on my side, the driver's side. And because of that awkward hit, it turned him to have a second impact into the side of my door. And because of his speed, it then flipped him around to the rear of our car, where he was hit from the side. He was T-boned by a 17-year-old boy driving a Suburban. Out of all 4 of those vehicles, that impaired driver was the only one who was not wearing his seatbelt. And that man lost his life that night, exactly where his truck stopped. His blood alcohol level was 0.265, which you guys know is 3.5 times the legal limit. Drinking and driving, or any kind of distracted driving, it's not an accident, it's not a mistake, because every time we get behind that wheel, or even ride as a passenger in a vehicle, we have a choice of how we're going to behave, of what we're going to do.